Limitless Roofing Podcast, episode number 26. Welcome to the Limitless Roofing CEO Show. My name is Dylan McCabe, and in every episode, we give you a seat at the table as we talk with owners and CEOs of roofing companies and industry experts so that you can gain the wisdom and strategies you need to take your own company to the next level, take your own leadership to the next level. And in this episode, my guest is going to unpack how to get at least 100 roofing referral jobs a year through the right strategic partner. His name's Ron Snouffer. He's the CEO and founder of National Claims Negotiators. He's got a very successful team. He also does training at different roofing companies around the U.S. on a regular basis on how to increase referral business. It's something that he's really good at, and he's going to share a case study where he got over 300 roofing jobs in 1 year from one referral partner. This is going to be a great show. Before we jump into that, if you haven't done so already, join our Facebook group. It's called the Limitless Roofing CEO Facebook group. We don't allow any spam, any vendor ads, or anything like that. We want you to engage in discussion. You can tap the wisdom and experience of other leaders by posing questions, posing the challenges you face as a leader in your company, and let the other people in the group weigh in on that. We want to build a community that brings about great discussion and feedback and insight, not just a big advertising platform. And lastly, I want to challenge you, if you haven't done so already, consider joining one of our roofing CEO groups. There is no need to lead your business alone. You can run your company with a team of leaders around you in our roofing CEO groups. It's like a mastermind group unlike any other because they're capped at 10 members per group. We meet once a month via Zoom so that there's no direct competition. We not only get great feedback from one another on our biggest challenges in business, we also work through the entire EOS system together. EOS worldwide is the gold standard for business strategy and development. You can Google that, and I'm an authorized EOS implementer. So we do that together. It's a pivotal experience, and it could truly be the turning point in your business. So if you have any questions about that, just schedule a discovery call today. You can go through the short business checkup, and then we'll talk about your business to see if there's a fit. All right, guys, let's get into this discussion with Ron Snouffer about how to increase your referral business even up to 100 jobs a year through the right strategic partner. Awesome. Well, Ron, thank you for joining our show, man.
I appreciate you letting me be on.
Yeah, and to those listening, this is the first time we are using StreamYard. So if there's any issues joining this or listening to this or whatever, I'm going to claim ignorance here with StreamYard. But Ron, we really appreciate you being on the show today. And I was really excited about this because you've worked with a lot of roofing companies to help them grow their sales, grow their referral business. And I really wanted this to be kind of a live training inside of our group of hearing your story and your background, but also just giving people some solid tactics on how to grow that referral business. So before we get into all that, just kind of share your background. Who are you? What's your company? Stuff like that.
My name is Ron Snouffer. I own National Claims Negotiators. We are a public adjusting firm in Texas. We have 18 public adjusters here in the state. And we deal with claims that contractors are having issues with, the carriers where they're not paying properly. I've been a contractor. I've been in real estate. So I have a pretty diverse background when it comes to construction and real estate. I have seen how, with working with hundreds of different roofing contractors, how the best ways to get business, both repeat business and through door knocking and so forth.
And so
share that information to make everybody successful.
Yep. And so as you've navigated the landscape in this industry and you've helped other roofing companies and you've really drilled down on negotiating the claims process and stuff like that, at some point you really realized you had a niche for developing strategic relationships. And the title of this podcast is 100 roofs a year through strategic referral partners. And so let's get into that. You know, the reason I think this is so critical is we got a guy we're talking to today that we're helping to start a roofing company. It's part of the consulting we do for guys sometimes that are entrepreneurs, successful business guys, already have what it takes to be successful in business, but they want to get out of the corporate world. They want to start a roofing company. So they were asking us questions today about, hey, working a storm is great. We're in Dallas, Texas. What do you do when you're not working the storm? How do you continue the revenue how do you maintain that revenue stream in your business? And so kind of walk us through. I know you've got kind of 3 or 4 major things you do to keep that going. Get us started on that strategy.
So I'd say it all starts with your initial customers. Your initial customers are going to be the ones that are going to be the happiest with you, and they're going to refer you additional leads. Those additional leads come from their friends, their family, their realtors, and the biggest one, I think, is their insurance agent. If you make that customer happy, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to make that insurance agent happy. And if you're in an area that got hit by a storm within the last 2 years, that insurance agent is going to have several people, not just one, that have hail damage to their roofs. Problem is, most roofers will only go touch that insurance agent one time and then never talk to him again. Well, if they see 100 roofers, one time a piece, there's no relationship built. But when you have a customer, you can build a relationship with that insurance agent by just doing a few small things to touch that insurance agent every time you're talking to the property owner, keeping them involved in the claim, letting them know when you're going to put the roof on, letting them know what type of roof you're going to put on, letting them know when the roof is completed, letting them know what kind of warranty is going to be on it. And then I always have a recommendation that you should have some kind of 90, 180, 360-day warranty inspection to be able to go back out there to the property with the property owner and then notify the insurance agent again. We did a 90-day inspection. Roof's good. No questions, no issues.
All right. So before we get into going even deeper on that, some people may be thinking, okay, here's some more tips. Let's make this real. You have a real life case study of where a strategic referral partner has given you over 100 roofing jobs in 1 year. Share that story so that people listening to this can go, okay, this actually works.
So back when I was in the roofing business, we started out like most other roofing companies did, door knocking in areas that we knew had damage. We ended up running across an insurance agent on one of his properties. He was very happy with how well we took care of his property. And he was an agent in the area where the damage happened. So instead of him calling another roofing company, he called us because of how well we took care of him. And over about a year's time, we got several hundred, not just 100 roofs, but several hundred roofing leads from him. And those are always easier to close because you already have somebody who is referring you as a strategic partner. Your closing ratio goes way up.
So you're naturally good at this. I mean, I gather that from our discussions before we started this live show and just leading up to it. I think you're naturally good at connecting and educating. You're wired to educate. So walk through for people that are thinking, okay, but how did you do that? I mean, there's lots of insurance agents I know that I meet. They say, hey, we have roofers in our office every week trying to get us for them to send us business. So kind of walk through, how did you stand out? Number one, how do you stand out in an ocean of roofers?
Well, your first obstacle is, or your easiest obstacle is, if you have a customer that you're doing business with that's already agreed to have you put the roof on, you're going to take care of them, they're going to be your client. At that point in time, you need to advise the insurance agent, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones is going to be using me to do the roof. We've already gotten it approved through the insurance company, or we're meeting with the adjuster on Tuesday. Notify the agent as you go, or notify the agent's gatekeeper. It'll be one of two things. You'll either have a gatekeeper or you'll be able to talk directly with the agent, depending on the size of the agency. But the more information that you can provide them and the more contact you can stay in front of them, just communicating that stuff. Because like I said, most roofers will go by and drop off a bag of donuts or flyers or whatnot one time and then never go back and talk to that agent again. So if you have systematically put in place things to go back and talk to that agent, when you sign the customer up, then you notify them, the agent, we're putting the roof on Tuesday. Then you go back and say the roof is completed on Wednesday. Everything's been taken care of. We're going to file for the depreciation. Then you notify the insurance agent a third time, hey, this is the warranty information. Please put it with their file. You may call the agent up and say, hey, before you put the roof on, are there any discounts that are given for a type of roof that's put on the roof so that I can notify your client and maybe upsell them to a IR or designer shingle or something like that? So all those things solidify the relationship with the agent and his customer, because most customers leave their agent when they've had a bad experience in an insurance claim. So if you can show through the entire process where you make it fluid, easy for their customer, keep them in communication, they're going to love you because they're going to keep retention themselves. And that's what it's all about for them. They want to make sure their customers are taken care of, and they want to make sure that if there is any issues, that there's communication through the entire process.
So one glaring thing that's standing out to me right here, a glaring question that I want to ask everybody, and I have to ask myself too, is when you engage a customer-client relationship, a homeowner, on a roofing job, what does your communication look like with their agent? And this is not something that you're talked about a lot. Usually the perspective is on the desk adjuster or the field adjuster that comes to the house. What do you have to do with them? And how do you push things forward, either through supplements, public adjuster, taking things to appraisal? That whole conversation is usually the focus. It's not about, hey, did you call that homeowner's agent, their insurance agent, to say, hey, by the way, I'm taking care of Sally Smith or John Smith. Just want to let you know, want to give them world-class customer service. Also want to help you in any way I can, and start that whole conversation. I got to tell you, I don't hear about that very often.
That's because it's one of the simple things that you can do that people hear all the time, that I can get lots of referrals from an insurance agent or lots of referrals from a real estate agent, but they don't take the time or commit to actually making it work. And once you have those relationships established with strategic partners like that, they will fight for you to make sure you get those claims. They're only going to refer you to their clients, and they're going to back you up when there's issues, if that makes sense.
Yep. We've got a local guy from Goosehead that's got a pretty big book of business here in Dallas. It sends us jobs almost weekly. I mean, he sends us repeated business because he knows we're not going to go there and just try to close the homeowner. We're going to go there and educate the homeowner. And actually, there's many times where we go in and do it. Rain Tight General Contracting will go do an inspection on the roof and tell the homeowner, you know what, we don't think there's enough damage to file a claim. We think you should wait. So our contact over at Goosehead knows that we're not there to just get everybody to file a claim and close as much business as possible. We're there to really be an extension of his customer service. Because like you said, a lot of times people do have a bad experience. That's the question. They say, do you know what the best insurance company is? Because I've been unhappy and I want to switch.
Well, that helps you with your strategic relationships. Even if you have somebody that's referring you business, you would have another offshoot to be able to send them to somebody else. And the thing, like you said, is that these agents don't want to have their clients open claims for no reason. So if they can have a roofer that they know they can rely on and depend on to go out there and get there quick and give their customer an honest opinion on whether or not it has damage, is huge. Because they'll send out stuff, because we do have thousands of contractors that are out there door knocking that sometimes never get on a roof. I mean, we go look at claims all the time that there is no damage on the roof, but a claim's already been filed. So that is a huge benefit if you can offer that to do the inspection before an adjuster appointment ever comes out.
So I think glaring question number one for people listening to this that are thinking, yes, I would love to get 25, 50, 100 roof referrals a year. Glaring question number one is, are you reaching out to the homeowner's insurance agent to build a bridge to make a long-term relationship with them? That's step number one. Are you reaching out? Are you starting that communication to really kind of partner with them to offer world-class customer service to get you more referral business, but also maintain their book of business? I think the big question number two is, let's be more specific about what that communication looks like. Because again, for somebody that's a seasoned business professional, a lot of this stuff is common practice. But for somebody that's not used to doing this thing or shooting from the hip kind of roofing business owner, roofing salesperson, so walk us through that. If you could have it exactly the way you wanted, Ron, and you were training somebody on this, and you're just going to tell them this is exactly how I want you to do this, what would it look like?
Well, one of the first things you want to do is be able to set an appointment with the insurance agent. This is not an over-the-phone type situation. You need to have excuses to go by and see that agent. And the excuses that you have are they're going to be the same ones over and over again. Your first one is going to be, we signed a contract with Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Here's a copy of the contract. Here's information about our company. We are a certified contractor with Certainty, Owens Corning, Gap, whoever that manufacturer is. This is the type of materials we're going to put on the roof. That's when you would also have a conversation with them about, are there any additional discounts that I should make my client aware of or our client aware of, where they'll get a discount on their insurance, so that when I go back and give them a presentation on the type of roofing materials that we're going to put on the roof, these are your additional discounts that you'll qualify for based on your insurance company. Farmers has like a 40% discount just on a new roof. And so you have, depending on who the insurance agency is, they all have different discounts based on the type of roof that's going to be put on the roof. So your second time that you go by is, hey, I just wanted to let you know that Mr. and Mrs. Jones are putting their roof on today. We'll probably be done in a day, 2 days, whatever you think it's going to take. That's your second time that you stop by and talk to them. It's always important that you have those face-to-face drop-ins, because it's all about establishing the relationship and the communication. If they think they're never going to hear from you again or never going to see you again, you're not top of mind. You're not top of thoughts, and they're going to move on to the next guy that drops off donuts on Friday. So if you do that on those two occasions, and then you wait a week or so and you go by and drop off warranty information, here's the warranty, the roof's completed. We want you to know that they have a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, whatever warranty the contractor has in place. I'm a big fan of doing a lifetime warranty, because the only thing that's going to stop you in Texas from not getting your roof done is hail, right? And then that gives you the ability to go back out there on an annual basis and just go check on that roof. Why is that a big deal? Customers don't know that they have hail 9 times out of 10 until somebody knocks on a door, right? They can't see the damage from the ground, so they never know. But if you have the ability, if you have set up regimens where you go out at 90 days, you can talk to them about their roof. It's still completely done. You notify the insurance company. We did our 90-day follow-up. And then you ask the property owner who else in the area still hasn't had their roof done. So now you're double dipping it. You get it from the customer and you get it from the insurance agent. Who else in their book of business still hasn't had their roof done?
I love that. So let's stop, because we're getting into exciting stuff. So first of all, I'm just blown away by how little I hear about this as a sales process. So step one, reach out to the customer's insurance agent, and you have a reason. That's the big thing I like about this, is you've got a reason. This is not really a cold outreach or a cold call. You are saying, hey, I'm actually working with your customer. Let's meet, would love to learn from you about, like you said, discounts and stuff like that. Also want to kind of let you know about our process and why it's exceptional. And want to make a win-win kind of strategic relationship with you in this process and do the best for the homeowner. And then when you say to follow up with them, I like that too, because you're not walking in their office cold. You have a reason to go back in and talk about the process when the roof's going to be done. And you have a reason to go back in and talk about that warranty information. So this is a very warm approach to building a strategic relationship.
So another good strategic time to go back and talk to the agent is after you've collected the depreciation and you sat down and met with the property owner, made sure they're completely satisfied with everything. You get that customer to give you a testimonial, whether that's a written one or even better, a video testimonial about how awesome of a job you did, right? And then you physically take, whether it's written, email, on the BBB, Google, whatever, back to that agent and say, I just wanted you to know this is what your customer thinks of us. If you have any additional customers, use this testimonial for them to call us and let us take a look at their roof.
That is so good. Yeah, you're really standing out too. There's a book on sales that I love called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, and he does a lot of sales training. And it's not new fancy stuff that he talks about. It's just pig-headed stubbornness to a process in sales. But one of the things he does talk about in the book that kind of makes him stand out is the ways that he stays top of mind with people. And so to me, this is a powerful way to really stay top of mind with that insurance agent when you go back in with a video with their client and they're going, you know what? We were a little skeptical at first, but this roofing company did an exceptional job. They did this, they did this, they did this. And the sales guy, whoever he is, did such a good job. He even over communicated. We never wondered where we were at in the process. And then you are going back in. And I think that there might be some people thinking right now, how am I going to get a video? I don't have time to do that. Well, I want to challenge everybody listening to this. Go back and listen to my interview with Kirby, the CEO of Lightspeed Construction. He actually makes it required for his sales guys to get a video testimonial, and they actually do not receive their commission unless they get a video testimonial from that customer. Wow. And so that entails them building up to that throughout the entire process, giving great customer service, coaching the homeowner on the process, and letting them know, hey, I want you to be so happy at the end and so satisfied that you are going to be excited to get on video and talk about this.
Videos are strong. I need to have my guys do more videos. Right now, we concentrate on just written stuff, but videos are strong, and I'm seeing that more and more as we go forward in today's world.
All right. So you've started that initial outreach. You've done the job. You've reached back out to the insurance agent. You're just building this relationship even stronger. You've got a video. Hopefully you can show them. So we're multiple ways. We're pretty far along in this process. Then what? After the job's done, after you've shown that video, what does your follow-up look like with the insurance agent? And what does your follow-up look like with the homeowner?
So a typical agent will have somewhere between 500 and 1,500 clients. That's the average. Well, how many clients do you think they have around the client that you just did? It's not like an agent that lives in Flower Mound is selling stuff in Waxahachie. All their stuff is around Flower Mound. So after that 90-day to 180-day period, you're going to send a screenshot of whoever you do business with as far as Hail Recon, Hail Trace, Hail Strike, whatever hail mapping system you have of, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, this is where the hail was. What other clients do you have in this area? We'll go out and do a free inspection for you. And that puts them on notice. And then between that 180 days and 360 days, you remind the agent, your clients only have a limited amount of time to file a claim before they can't recover their depreciation. Who do you have in this area again? So you have multiple times that you're going to touch them throughout that 1 year mark, and eventually they're going to get on board because they don't want a client that has damage, never filed it, and 3 years from now they have a leak. Now it's the agent's fault that they have a leak and the insurance company isn't paying for it.
So when you do that, what would you say is a good expectation for somebody thinking, you know what, this is going to take a lot of my extra time, which we know if you're going to be an exceptional salesperson, this really isn't taking a lot more time and it's thinking long-term instead of short-term. But for somebody saying, is this really worth the time? What could somebody expect as far as the amount of referrals, or what would you coach somebody on, like, hey, this is what you should expect maybe the first year, and then it's probably going to get more the second year and more the third year?
Correct. So like I said, a typical agent, this isn't just an average agent, not a huge agent by any means, will have 500 to 1,500 clients in an area of town. So if 20% of those people had hail damage or were in the hail belt of where the hail happened, that could be 100 clients within a matter of a year.
Well, that's a lot. And if I glossed over that before, it's because I'm trying to do StreamYard for the first time here and trying to make sure I manage comments on our Facebook page. But to me, I think if you even spent 20 hours with one insurance agent and you could get 50 to 100 jobs a year from that insurance agent, this is one of the most important things you should do if you care about sales. And if you are in roofing, you care a great deal about sales. Because
it's year over year. And you have to remember this. We only touched on the surface. Goosehead friend. He's not the only goosehead in the Metroplex. And if you took care of him, he's going to refer you to other goosehead agents. Now look at how your domino effect is when it comes to agents. And it's not like you need thousands of agents. You need a handful of agents in order to be very successful in this business.
Right. That's something we talked about when I started with Rain Tight General Contracting about a year ago. The owner said, look, you need to really focus your downtime on referral partners. And if you could get 25 referral partners sending you 10 jobs a year, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And because hailstorms are going to take care of the rest. But if you could get 25 referral partners sending you 10 to 15 jobs a year, which is not a lot to expect from referral partners, should be more like you just discussed, you know, you're going to be doing well. Because you hear a lot about these guys in different groups is, are you $1 million producer? Are you $1 million producer and stuff like that? That's really not a ton of roof sales. No. Right? That's doing okay, but that's not, to me, that's not like wild success. And if you deploy this strategy, you should easily be selling $1 million a year in revenue.
Yes. I mean, that's basically, here in North Texas, our average roof is somewhere around $22,000. That's less than 50 roofs a year. It's 4 roofs a month. Let's say you take off 2 months. That's 5 roofs a month when you take off November, December.
Yeah.
There's plenty of damage out there for you to do it. And that's the other thing that drives me nuts in this industry is guys will say all the time, oh, there's no business out there right now. We haven't had a good hailstorm. And I laugh at that. 2 years ago, we had a huge storm that came through Allen, McKinney, Frisco, Plano area, 2.5-inch hail. Everybody mad dashed up there for 60 to 90 days, made a killing, and then some stayed another 180 days. Well, here it is, almost 2 years. We're still getting claims right now from that storm, and it's almost 2 years ago. We'll be done with that storm in April.
Right, and it may have been you who told me some of the statistics. I can't remember who it was. Somebody told me about the amount of jobs that don't get done when a big hailstorm comes through.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's talk about that for a minute for guys that think, because I know like here in Dallas, if a big hailstorm hits, there is this oversaturation of guys knocking dorms right in the middle of the storm. They've got their hail apps, you know, whether it's Hail Recon or whatever it might be. And they're going, you know, our strategy is always to work the outskirts, because if you go to the center of that thing and you're the 10th roofer that's knocked on that homeowner's door in Dallas, I mean, they're just pissed off by that point. But if you work at the outskirts, while everybody else is focused on the center, even then, even beyond the outskirts, there are so many that don't get done, or they say no that day because they get swarmed. But then 60 days later, they're actually willing to talk. Things have calmed down. I think it's around 30%, isn't it? Or is it a bigger number than that?
So in that first 90 days, they say that the average is about 30% of roofs get done in that first 90 days. And then over the next 18 months, it's only another 30%. So you still have 30 to 40% of roofs that never get done. And that goes back to the equation. Even though there's thousands of roofers here in North Texas, there's only so much labor in North Texas. And there's not enough roofing crews to do all the roofs that are done, that are hit on an annual basis. So,
you know, that's so interesting. And it takes persistence, and people that are in sales know that. But I was at lunch today with the owner of Rain Tight, my business partner, and we were sharing a story with a guy that's going to engage us for consulting. But the story was that a big hailstorm came through, and Miller Whedon, the owner of Rain Tight, went with a sales guy to the area They knocked on doors all day long. They thought they were just going to make a killing, right? No one would let them on their roof. Not a single person. One person at the end of the day said, okay, go ahead. And then the next day when they were actually supposed to get up on the roof, the guy called and said, you know what? I talked to my wife. We're really not ready for that. Nobody. They kept going back. Finally, one older gentleman let them up on his roof. They educated him in the process, did the roof, put a sign in the yard. He said, by the way, my neighbor also needs theirs done. We were talking about it, did theirs. Within a couple of months, they had signed up 200 people off that one job, and that neighborhood had 400 homes. They did 200. One company, Rain-Tight General Contracting, did 200 out of the 400 homes in that neighborhood because of one person was the domino that started the rest to fall.
I was talking about this the other day. Our office is in Mansfield. Mansfield got hit 3 times in the last 24 months. And so basically the entire town, there's about 100,000 houses down here in the Mansfield, Southern Arlington area that had damage. And there's still tons and tons of business down here. But the last storm was April 27th of last year. So there's not people out here looking for damage, even though you can drive up and down the street and see which roofs have been done and which ones have not. And that goes back to exactly what you're saying. People in our industry will go out that first 90 days, but then they won't go back. They'll wait for another storm. And just because you didn't nail it the first 90 days doesn't mean those customers in those areas don't need it later on. Because we know that it's not a matter of if the roof is going to leak, it's when.
Yep. And we got a good comment here inside our Facebook group by a guy, Brandon, and he said, I love networking and referrals, definitely more residual than knocking doors. It may take longer, but gets bigger and bigger every year. And that's something that you mentioned. It's year over year over year. And so I got to tell you, I'm excited about this because I just met a guy a couple of weeks ago from Farmers, and we met at a party. My brother-in-law was having a party. They invited a lot of people over for one of their kids' birthday parties in the backyard. And he said, so, you know, you're a roofer. I said, well, I work with Rain-Tight General Contracting. My business partner and I started Limitless, but yes, I do some roofing jobs. I don't actively go out looking for it, but for friends and family, we do. And we really focus on education, and we focus on an exceptional customer experience. We want a lifetime client. We aren't there just to close a deal. We're there to build a long-term relationship. And he said, well, I got to tell you, I've gone through a lot of roofers in the last year. He said, I've got almost 3,000 people in my book of business. And he said, I don't have to send roofers business. He said, the only reason I do it is to just make it easier for the customer when they ask me, who should I work with? And I explained to him our process, and he began to get more and more interested when he heard that we go up on a roof and sometimes tell the homeowner they shouldn't file a claim because, well, in Texas anyway, you know how it is. I mean, there's going to be another hailstorm either later this year or next year. And so if there's not enough damage, it doesn't make sense because you're just going to buy another roof in a year or two. And so he perked up, and I'm still following up with him. We're hopefully going to get lunch next week. But even though my focus is on Limitless, 95% of my time, I still want to be out there as somebody who's staying at the cutting edge with roofing, to stay in the industry, to stay relevant. But his whole thing that stood out to me was, I don't have to send a roofer any leads. I'm doing it just to make it easier on the homeowner and easier on the roofer. But then he spent the next 20 minutes in our conversation complaining about roofers. So if you were to give one parting piece of advice after all this, if people forget everything you just covered, what's one parting piece of advice for somebody to move forward in this process successfully?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. What they are looking for is somebody that's going to take care of their clients. There are lots of contractors that will promise everything and then not follow up on anything. We have to be realistic. What are the expectations that we set? If they don't have damage to the roof, we need to tell them. Because we know that, like you said, in Texas, every 7 to 10 years, you're going to get a new roof. That's worst case scenario. So be realistic. That customer may not be your customer today, but next year, the year after, they're going to be your customer. And if you establish yourself with integrity, that agent is going to tie themselves to you because you're helping promote their business. They want their clients happy. If their clients are happy, they keep renewing. It's the agents that you end up with that have clients that have had a book of business for a long period of time, those are the agents you want referrals from. The agents that end up with new clients every single year, they're sending out the 2 chucks in a truck that'll do it for nothing. And then they get mad and they move on to another insurance agent, just like they do for a roofer. But if you establish yourself with a quality insurance agent, you'll end up with quality referrals and long lifetime referral sources.
I love that. That makes me more excited to follow up with the farmers guy here that I'm talking to right now. And I'm really interested to see what kind of feedback we get on this, because I just don't hear this a lot. I don't hear this spoken about very much. And I know in an area, I think about Dallas and my market, with the amount of agents there are, the size of agencies there are, the size homes there are and neighborhoods there are, it's unwise to avoid this strategy. I mean, it's something that everybody should be doing. And so with people, I want to challenge people with this, that give it a try. I mean, give this a try and give us feedback. Let us know how it goes. Comment inside of our group. And Ron, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this is a training you guys offer to different companies and distributors and stuff like this. And you've offered this for free live inside of our Limitless Roofing Facebook group. And I really appreciate that. So before we bring this to an end, kind of tell us more about your company. I mean, you were involved in roofing. You really found out that you had a knack for the claims side of it. And tell us more about National Claims Negotiators and why somebody would want to reach out to you.
So when we left the roofing industry and got into the public adjusting, it was just me and one other gentleman. And we were doing it just like we thought public adjusting was supposed to be done. We were one-man operation, trying to get to everything. We weren't able to do that. And so we developed a system and a team mentality where we systematically attack each claim, where everybody has duties and responsibilities so that we can get to them fast, efficiently, and get them closed out quickly and for the correct amount of money. So we spend the time on the front end making sure that each step is taken care of so that when we meet with the adjuster out in the field, they're more inclined to pay the claim then and there. Our average residential claim takes 30 to 45 days. Our average commercial claim takes 90 to 120 days. Last year, we opened up a supplement department because we had a lot of contractors that were having issues getting the last $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Now we have our own in-house supplement team that takes care of those small claims. And so we do a lot of things different that other public adjusting firms do not do or don't even offer.
Man, that's great. And so what all markets do you guys work in?
So currently we're in North Texas, Abilene, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. So we cover pretty much all of Texas.
And what kind of team are we talking about? You said you started and it was just you and one other guy. What does your team look like now?
We have 18 people that have a license. We have a full staff here at the office. There's communication is not an issue. You're not going to have to track down your PA to find out what's going on. You can call the office. We all have access to the database and allows us to know who and where the claim is at any point in time.
It's awesome. Yeah, this is not a small operation we're talking about here. So I love your approach. You're very professional. You're very clear in the way you do things, the way you talk about what you do. And even in our time together, you've just been very clear and practical. And I know anybody that works with you is going to get the same experience. They're just going to get kind of a no-nonsense approach. They're also going to get a lot of clarity and great customer service. So anybody listening to this, if you're in that need of using a public adjuster or even supplements, you definitely need to reach out to Ron and his team. I will put the link to your website in the notes to this show. and people can access it there. And I know people can find you on LinkedIn as well. But if somebody wanted to reach out to you now, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can call the office at 817-969-4621.
Awesome.
969-4621.
Well, Ron, with National Claims Negotiators, thank you so much for equipping us and educating us today on how to build strategic referral business. And we really appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. What a great interview with Ron. And again, if you want to catch that stuff live and be able to comment and do Q&A with the guest, join our Facebook group. You can join the live stream. We're doing all of these live via StreamYard. But I love what he says about, hey, when you get the claim or you get the job, call that homeowner's agent. Build that relationship. Start by communicating with them, saying, hey, I'm working with your client. They are my client as well now. I want to work together with you and just kind of let you know what we're doing, and then following up with them to let them know that the job was well done. And then that kind of gives you a reason. It's a warm call. It also gives you a reason for a warm visit to that agent's office to start generating those referrals and doing that with every homeowner. I mean, I just think it's a phenomenal strategy. So, guys, I hope you take that and start using it. Let me know. Give us feedback inside of our Facebook group. Post in the comment section and the link to that video on StreamYard, my talk with Ron, and let us know how it's working for you and your team. Like I said, if you haven't done so yet, join our Facebook community. It's free to join, and you can get that interaction with other roofing owners and CEOs. And if you are not in a mastermind now and would like to be part of a roofing CEO group, or at least learn more about it, you can schedule a discovery call today. Just go to our website at limitlessceogroup.com. All right, guys, this is Dylan McCabe with the Limitless Roofing Show, and I will catch you in the next episode.